Welcome back to another episode of In the Know with Andrew and Noel. Today, we're going to talk to you about overcoming objections on the appointment with clients. I know that's something, Andrew, that we talk about every day on the daily coaching call. It's an ongoing, problem that everybody wants a solution for. Everybody wants an answer. And I don't think there's necessarily an answer for every single objection, but there's a lot of things that you can do as a top producer to overcome these objections. What have you found in your appointments are some of the number one objections you have, or maybe that you got as a new agent, and what have you done to overcome those and eliminate those objections on an appointment?
What I learned early on was I don't want to be playing defense in the appointment, right? And so what I mean by that is you want to find ways to answer their objections ahead of time. How do you handle, well, we don't know our budget? Well, so when you find that out at the beginning of your appointment, you should be asking about their budget. Like you guys both work. You and James work, Noel, what's your guys' income look like? This is coming in, what's going out each month. Because when you have clients are more willing, it's not like you're trying to con them out of information, but it's you legitimately I don't want to try to make it seem like this is something they should get if this is something that won't fit in their budget. Like I'm truly trying to help them. And so it's sometimes a lot easier getting certain bits of information early on in the appointment instead of towards the end. And so that's really what I try to do. And that's usually the easiest sign to me. If I get to the end of the appointment and I'm getting statements, and these would be statements you might hear, like I'm not sure if it fits in the budget. That I want to think about it. Honestly, if you've answered all of the questions and if you've explained everything right, that I want to think about it, really boils down to, what would you say, like three things, for whatever reason, or four things, whatever. They just don't like you. You said something wrong, bad first impression, your breath stinks. You said something about their favorite sport team that they like, but you said you don't like them. You said something in the appointment that they instantly put that wall up, and they want to, I'm very skittish on mentioning anything about sporting teams. Because if you say the wrong thing in the home and they think, if you're, in Rob Jones' house and you're talking about how awesome Michigan Wolverines are, they might not want to buy insurance from you, right? So, so if you've answered well, let me back up. They don't like you for whatever reason. You've not answered all of their questions. It's too expensive, or they feel they don't have a value or a need for it. You're never going to overcome if they don't need it. And that's fine. They don't need it, right? You can't help people that can't qualify. You can't help people that this won't fit in their budget. And you can't help people that just don't need or want it. Now, if they already have coverage, sometimes people might say, well, I don't think I really need this because I got this other coverage. Like, ideally, you should have figured that out early on in the appointment then.
Yeah.
There's ways you can, I don't want to say combat that, but address that. Because most people expect that, right? Most people should have some coverage, and especially some coverage through their job. So there's ways to overcome that. But, the things, again, that we hear at the end of the appointment, there's probably ways you could have addressed that in the beginning of your appointment. Like I have my work insurance. That's great. Early on in the appointment, I ask people, if we don't do this insurance for whatever reason, what do you already have in place that can protect you and your family? And just let them answer. Well, nothing. That's why I filled the form out. Okay. So you guys don't have any life insurance outside of your job? No, just the stuff through job. Well, that stuff through your work's great, but I'm sure you can imagine why most people that we meet have stuff through their job, but still have a need for this, because your work insurance is only good while you're employed. Company can change benefits. You can change jobs. You could get fired. You could get sick one day and not have your job. There's many factors that could have you no longer employed at that job or have those benefits, and then it's gone. and you were counting on something to protect your family that you didn't own and control. And so there's ways we can easily overcome that. So, at the end of your appointment, now here's the problem. You're playing defense,
Yeah.
right? In most cases, that I want to think about it. It might not be so much, but I do try to, after you've been doing this for a couple weeks, couple months, depending on how many, after you've sat on 20, 30, 50 appointments, that I want to think about it really boils down to a couple of things. They don't like you, for whatever reason. You didn't explain everything properly, so they don't quite understand something about the living benefits or whatever. There's something they don't understand. They don't feel a need for this, which again is fine. Some people don't need it, or the price thing, right? And here's the thing. People get very, I don't want to say emotional, but like get embarrassed to say things like, that's, we can't afford that, right? Like I want to protect my family, but we can't afford that package. So I'm very open. I've heard you say it all the time, when you've talked, it's, what are you really concerned about? Did I maybe not answer something? Did I not brush my teeth and have something stuck in it? And you don't like, I don't know what, or, was this, would you be more comfortable if we could find a cheaper package for you? Maybe, get you guys like a starter package, or do you just not feel there's a need for it?
Right.
Because some of my clients, they really, really, most of my clients, it boils down to two things. They don't have a need for it, and they just don't want to tell me no. So they're saying, I want to think about it. Listen, it won't hurt my feelings. Or the other is they want this, but they want to find a cheaper starter package. Right. So I'm not making them feel embarrassed to say, yeah, show me something cheaper. I'm
Right.
wanting them to feel like this is what most people do, right? Most people that want coverage go with the starter plan. If $90 is too expensive, why don't we look at 70? Why don't we look at 60? We'll
For sure.
find something in your budget. So I would say, the most common objections, you can probably handle most of those through your appointment. Watching, the training videos we have in the back office, you'll address almost every one of those objections at the end. If you're getting them at the end, find out how to solve them through the appointment, because I'd rather address them now instead of play defense at the end, and then really get to the heart of the, I want to think about it.
Well, and when you say like defense and offense, I think of it as a game that whoever says the objection first wins. So if they say the words think about it, they've won. I lost. No app. But if I say the word think about it, I won. If I say the word budget, if I say the word, any of that. And so, like a true elite producer will learn how, like you said, to incorporate that in their appointment at the beginning. And what I like to do is I like to set expectations from the very, very start. I call it setting the table, lining out how the entire appointment is going to go so they know exactly what to expect. I'm your broker. I'm going to do some preliminary underwriting. We need to see if you qualify. If you do, we need to make sure this fits your needs and it fits your budget. If we find something that fits comfortable in the budget, then we'll submit the request. It takes a little bit of time for this to process and handle, for it to be permanent, but we're going to take care of it today. And like you said, all the questions that you're asking in the needs analysis are specifically designed to overcome those objections. So I would challenge you guys, if you are having a lot of objections, write them down. Write down the ones that you're struggling with the most, that are reoccurring for you, and figure out a way earlier in the appointment how to overcome that before you get to the end. Because I view them as like hand grenades. Whoever says the word first, it blows up in the other person's face. And so if I say, we're going to make sure this fits your budget, you're going to have some time to think about it, we're going to make sure it's the right type of coverage for you, all of a sudden they can't say those words to me in the very end. And then I won. And that's how all, in my opinion, all elite producers learn how to do that. They don't get objections at the end because they've overcome those at the beginning. So, in closing, I would say, like Andrew said, go on offense, don't go on defense. Don't focus on those objections at the end and little one-liner sentences that you can say to overcome that. If you've already gotten that far and they have objections, you've already lost. So you need to work on your early game at the beginning of the appointment, overcoming those from the very, very start. And you will be amazed at how many more applications you take, how many more people, like, you stop getting to think about it at the end. You stop getting that. So, in closing, Andrew, what would be, your best piece of advice for a new agent going out there? They're getting hammered with, objections. Just, a really quick, what would you suggest? What would be your best advice for them?
I mean, the best, if you're a brand new agent, whether it's an in-person or a virtual appointment, the beauty of mortgage protection is when you need help, you can reach out. Reach out if you're brand new, like you're in your first, you haven't even run 5 appointments yet, brand new. Like reach out to your hiring manager, reach out to somebody that brought you in the business and say, "Hey, I got these appointments. If I need help on the appointment, will you be able to help me?" And that's what I counted on a lot for my first like 10 appointments. The ability to reach out to a couple different managers in our company, and I could have them, I could call them. With virtual appointments, I've had people, say, "Hey, I need some help in this appointment," and I could jump on the appointment with them and help them. I mean, so it's kind of cool when you can do that. And I promise you, clients don't care. If you're doing things that can help them or find something cheaper or help them find something they can qualify for that's better for them, they will encourage you to reach out for help. I mean, so that's the easiest thing I would say. I mean, if you've run at least 10 or 15 appointments and you're not needing to rely on that anymore, take it one step at a time. Don't worry about trying to overcome every objection. What's the one you're commonly getting?
Yeah.
Right. And then reach out for some help and say, "Hey, I'm always getting the, you know, whatever that is, like they need to figure out the budget. They need to, because I used to get that all the time, and I could easily overcome that because I got it so many times. But I found out from someone else, they said it at the beginning and boom, I never got it anymore. So see what you're getting at the end, because it's hard to know, like there's so many different types of objections. So look at what you're getting at the end of every appointment. I'd call somebody and say, "Hey, I got this objection. How would you have handled it?" And then they would say, "Well, what did you say in the appointment to prevent it?" So don't wait a month to get help. At the latest, call at the end of the day and get a rundown. And that would probably be the best piece of advice I could give you is, go over your appointments with somebody that can help you and get those course corrections fixed sooner than later.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for being with us today. If you like, these videos that we put out, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to the notifications so you can always, be alerted when a new episode comes out. Like this video, comment on it, and let us know if there's anything else you want to hear from us in the future.